My name is Katie Martinez. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and I work as a nurse at the county hospital here. What I'm about to share might sound unbelievable, maybe even strange, but I feel compelled to speak about it because Jesus himself instructed me to. Just this week alone, 3 different people pulled me aside and asked, "Katie, what happened to you?" Because something in me has changed. My coworkers sense it. My family notices it. Even the neighbors who barely talk to me have commented that I seem different, lighter, brighter, somehow more alive than I used to be. Everything began on October 15th of last year. I had started something I'd never truly committed to before, a genuine, intentional fast. I don't mean skipping meals or avoiding snacks. I mean 6 full days with absolutely no food, only water. I know how extreme that sounds. It felt extreme. But inside there was this tug, this unmistakable urging, like God was personally inviting me to step into something deeper. So I obeyed. By the 6th day my body was protesting. I felt drained, unsteady and weak. But at the same time, there was an unusual clarity within me, a sharper edge to my prayers, a sense of focus I'd never experienced before. Early that morning around 6 o'clock I was driving over to my mom's house. The streets were almost completely empty, the kind of quiet I've always loved. Soft worship music played in the background as I prayed for my brother, Josh. He's battled addiction for years and nothing we tried seemed to help. I was praying for him when everything suddenly went black. Later, doctors would tell me that a man driving a pickup truck, completely intoxicated before sunrise, blew through a red light at nearly 50 miles per hour and slammed directly into the driver's side of my car. They said my heart stopped for precisely 17 minutes and 23 seconds. But those minutes didn't feel like minutes. To me they stretched on like hours. What I experienced during that time is something I'm still trying to understand. One moment I was trapped in my crushed Honda, and in the next I was hovering above the wreckage. I could see the entire scene with perfect clarity. The paramedics fighting to revive me, the drunk driver sitting on the curb sobbing uncontrollably, even old Mrs. Henderson from down the street shuffling outside in her bathrobe to see what had happened. And yet none of it frightened me. That was the strangest part. I felt an indescribable calm, a peace deeper than anything I had ever known. Then I began to rise. Above the scene, above the street, drawn upward into what looked like a tunnel. But not a tunnel of darkness. It was made of light. Living light. That's the best way I can explain it. The light felt aware, as if it had its own character. Warm, welcoming, comforting. When I emerged from the tunnel I found myself in a place unlike anything on earth. I don't know how to give it justice. The colors were richer, more vibrant, shades I didn't even know existed. Music drifted all around me, coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. And the light, so intense it should have blinded me, didn't hurt my eyes at all. But something else captured my attention even more than the beauty of that realm. Stretching upward from the earth were countless strands of shimmering golden light. Thousands upon thousands of them, possibly more. They reached from below and rose to where I was standing. Mesmerized, I kept staring at them, trying to understand what they were. That's when I heard him. "Katie." Just one word, but the moment I heard it, I knew who it was. I didn't need to see him to recognize his voice. Every part of me understood instantly. It was Jesus. His voice didn't just enter my ears. It resonated through me, filling me completely. I felt utterly known in that moment. Utterly loved. "I brought you here to show you what you've never been able to see with earthly eyes." Then he appeared before me. I had grown up seeing countless portrayals of Jesus. Paintings, Sunday school posters, movie depictions, stained glass windows. But nothing prepared me for the reality of him. His presence was overwhelming in the most beautiful way. Waves of love and power radiated from him with such force that it made everything else fade into the background. His eyes held such depth, such wisdom and tenderness, that I felt exposed, like he could see every detail of my past, every thought I'd ever had. And at the same time I felt completely embraced. "Watch," he said gently. He pointed to the golden strands of light stretching upward. "Do you see those?" I nodded, unable to look away. "Those," he said, "are the people who are fasting and praying right at this very moment." My jaw dropped. I stared at the glowing threads, realizing each one was connected to a person on earth. Someone who had set aside food in order to seek God. The brightest strands, the ones that glowed with incredible intensity, were people whose fasts came from sincerity and purity of heart. One of the threads pulsed brightly near me, almost throbbing with light. Jesus smiled softly. That one belongs to Margaret in Ohio. She's on her 3rd day of fasting, praying for her grandson. Most of my children have no idea of the authority they carry, he continued. When they fast with a heart truly set on me, they join themselves to the work of heaven in ways they can't begin to imagine. Then he showed me mine. The 6 days I had been fasting appeared as a growing beam of light, each day strengthening the connection between heaven and earth. It was like watching spiritual muscle being built in front of my eyes. But what he showed me next shook me to my core. He took me to a place he called the Halls of Time. He showed me Moses during his 40-day fast receiving the 10 Commandments, but now I could see what had been happening behind the scenes. Moses' fasting had made room in the spiritual realm for God's glory to come down in a way that would have been impossible otherwise. He showed me Daniel during his periods of fasting, and how those fasts disrupted dark forces over entire regions. He showed me individuals throughout history, ordinary people, whose fasting had shifted the course of events without them ever realizing it. Katie, he said, I'm showing you this because my church is entering a season where fasting will become vital. The battles ahead will not be won through ordinary prayer alone. I stood there speechless. And that was only the beginning. Jesus turned toward me, and his expression shifted into something deeper, more solemn. What he showed next carried a weight I could feel even in that realm made of living light. He brought my attention back to the golden strands rising from earth, those living connections formed through fasting and prayer. But then he drew my focus to a specific cluster of them, threads glowing brighter when believers fasted together. Watch closely, he said. As I did, I saw something extraordinary. When groups of people fasted at the same time, even if they were scattered across different cities or countries, their strands of light began merging, intertwining, and forming what looked like swirling storms of spiritual energy. These combined fasts created momentum that didn't just affect individuals. It impacted entire regions. Atmospheres shifted. Darkness weakened. It was like watching spiritual weather systems form and move with power I could barely comprehend. But then his voice became more serious. Not all fasting carries the same weight. Suddenly, I saw different types of fast. Some threads were dim, almost lifeless. Fasts done out of obligation or to appear spiritual or from a place of pride. Those threads created barely any movement. But others, those born from humility, repentance, and genuine hunger for God, burned with a fierce brightness. These were the ones that carried real impact in the spiritual realm. Then Jesus said something that shocked me. Fasting transforms your spiritual DNA. I watched as he showed me how the spiritual senses of believers sharpened during fasting. Their discernment grew. Their authority increased. Their connection to heaven strengthened. Fasting created new spiritual pathways, routes that remained active even after the fast ended, allowing them to walk in greater spiritual clarity and power. Many of my children fast thinking it's a method to make me move, Jesus said. But fasting isn't about persuading me. It's about aligning yourself with what I'm already doing. When you fast, you tune your spiritual frequency to heaven. Then he brought me into another vision. Jesus showed believers who were fasting and they looked different, armored. Their prayers had precision. They hit their marks with force and accuracy. Fasting didn't just strengthen them, it equipped them. But then he issued a warning. The enemy targets those who fast because he knows the power it releases. I saw dark forces attempting to discourage believers, distract them, tempt them, or overwhelm them during their fasts. Jesus looked at me with seriousness. Stay covered by my blood and my word. Don't fast relying on your own strength. Then the scene changed again. Now Jesus showed me how fasting is connected to spiritual authority. Each day of genuine fasting elevated someone's authority in spiritual warfare, not because they earned it, but because fasting positioned them to receive it. This authority isn't achieved, he said. It's entrusted, and fasting prepares the heart to carry it. Then he showed me something beautiful, something that moved me to tears. Worship during fasting looks different in heaven. I watched as believers worshipped while fasting. Their praise rose like incense, but with an added fragrance, something more intense, more precious. Jesus explained that the sacrifice of fasting adds depth to worship, connecting it with heaven's own song. Then came something that struck me deeply. Jesus showed me why he had nudged me into that 6-day fast for my brother Josh. In another vision, I saw how fasting weakens and breaks chains in the spiritual realm. Chains that represented addiction, generational bondage, spiritual oppression, things Josh had been struggling with for years. I actually saw the chains snapping. I broke down in tears. For the first time, I understood. God had been preparing me to fight for my brother in a way I never knew existed. Then Jesus showed me something even more intimate. Our fasting partners with his own ongoing ministry of intercession. When we fast, we join him in a special way, stepping into the work he is continually doing on our behalf. And this partnership brings him joy. Real joy. When my children fast with pure hearts, he said gently, it moves my heart. This isn't about earning anything. You already have my complete love. It's about joining your spirit to my purposes more deeply. Jesus then showed me how fasting creates bridges, spiritual connectors that link different layers of God's work. Some fasting builds bridges that God uses long after the fast has ended. He also showed me how fasting is tied to spiritual inheritance. As people fast, old blockages, spiritual debris, clear away. Ancient wells of blessing and calling that were buried under generations of neglect begin to flow again. Some believers' fasting was restoring blessings that their families hadn't accessed in decades or even centuries. Then Jesus showed me something like spiritual multiplication. When someone fasts with a pure heart, the spiritual impact multiplies far beyond what that person can see. One faithful fast can shift entire families, communities, or future generations. The greatest results of fasting, Jesus said, will often only be revealed in eternity. Then he explained fasting and timing. Sometimes God prompts fasting not for immediate results, but as preparation. Fasting fortifies people spiritually before they even know what battles lie ahead. In the coming days, Jesus said, my children will need to fast in advance. Not just in crisis, but in preparation for what I know is coming. There was a seriousness in his voice that I felt all the way through my soul. He was showing me that the church is entering a season where fasting will become essential, non-negotiable for what lies ahead. And then came the moment when he told me the assignment. Tell them what you've seen. Tell them I am calling my church back to the power of biblical fasting. The time is short and my people must understand. And just when the realm around me began to fade, Jesus turned to me with a look of such overwhelming love that I could hardly bear it. Remember, he said, the power isn't in the fasting. The power is in me. Fasting aligns you with what I'm already wanting to do. The next instant I was back in my hospital bed. When I woke up in the hospital after that first experience, the medical staff couldn't believe what they were seeing. Not only had I come back from being clinically dead for over 17 minutes, but I had zero brain damage, no organ failure, nothing. The doctors called it a miracle. And they were right, but they had no idea how deep that miracle truly went. 3 months later, something happened that changed everything again. I was in my bedroom praying. I had begun another fast, this time for 7 days, specifically interceding for my brother Josh again. I wasn't near a car, I wasn't in danger, I wasn't dying. And yet it happened. My heart failed. The doctors later said it was an unexplained cardiac event. No warning signs. No known cause. My heart just stopped beating for 4 minutes and 12 seconds. But during those 4 minutes I was taken back into the same realm of living light. Jesus was there again. His presence hit me instantly, familiar, overwhelming, radiant. But this time he felt closer. Not distant like a king on a throne, but near, like a friend eager to reveal something precious. Katie, he said, I brought you back because I want to show you the fruit of what you've learned. Then everything shifted. I was suddenly seeing the earth again, but not physically, spiritually. Jesus showed me streams of light spreading across nations. These streams looked just like the golden threads I had seen earlier, but now there were more of them, hundreds, thousands, millions, growing and multiplying. Each beam of light represented someone who had begun to practice biblical fasting after hearing my testimony. Watch, he said. And I watched. I saw addictions breaking off people like shackles snapping in midair. I saw families reconciling, husbands praying with their wives, children returning home, bitterness dissolving. I saw healings, people recovering from diseases, mental torment lifting, joy flooding places where despair once lived. I saw regions shifting spiritually, entire communities becoming more open to God, churches becoming stronger, darkness pushed back in ways I never imagined. All of it connected to fasting and prayer. Then Jesus showed me something so intimate it pierced me deeply. I saw moments, quiet, hidden moments, of people fasting. A young woman kneeling by her bed, A father skipping meals while praying for his son. A teenager giving up video games and junk food to focus on God. A grandmother fasting silently for her broken family. All these unseen sacrifices, Jesus saw every one of them. Every hunger pang. Every whispered prayer. Every moment of weakness. Every tear. Nothing was wasted. Do you see? Jesus said gently, "What I revealed to you was never meant for you alone. It was meant for my beloved church." He showed me that each time I had shared what he taught me about fasting, whether in person, online, through conversations, the truth spread like seeds. And now, those seeds were sprouting into spiritual harvest all over the world. Jesus then revealed something that shook me. Every time someone embraced biblical fasting because of what I shared, it created a ripple effect. Waves that affected not just that person but generations to come. These waves were shaping families, restoring callings, breaking generational curses, and releasing blessings long held back. Then Jesus spoke with authority. "The days ahead will require levels of spiritual strength and authority my people have never walked in before. What I taught you about fasting is not optional. It is preparation." He showed me how, across the world, the understanding of fasting in his church was changing. Believers were awakening to its biblical power. They were fasting intentionally, humbly, strategically. And the spiritual impact was growing. Darkness was retreating from regions where believers fasted together. Atmospheres were shifting. Angels were being deployed. Demonic strongholds were weakening. Then Jesus looked at me and I felt the weight of his words press into my spirit. "Tell them again. But this time tell them with the authority of one who has seen the fruit." His voice was firm. "Tell them I am calling my church back to biblical fasting. Not as a religious practice. Not as punishment. Not as a formula. But as preparation for the greatest outpouring of my spirit they have ever seen." Just before the light around us began to fade, he gave me one final message. One that I felt burn into my soul. "Tell them I am not calling them to fasting to earn my love. They already have it completely. I am calling them to fasting because I want to entrust them with my power. Darkness is increasing. But through prayer and fasting my light in them will rise even brighter." And then I was back. I felt my body again. Heavy, human, fragile. I gasped for air. Nurses rushed in. Alarms rang. But I knew immediately. I had been given a second mandate. From that day on, my conviction became even deeper. This wasn't just a testimony. It was a calling. Jesus was urgently calling his people back to something ancient, powerful, and essential. And I had two choices: stay quiet or be obedient. When I came back into my body after that second encounter, the hospital room spun around me. Alarms were going off, nurses shouting orders, people rushing in and out. But none of that mattered, not compared to what was burning in my spirit. I had seen it again. I had stood with Jesus again. And the message he gave me this time was even clearer, even heavier, even more urgent. I knew why I had been sent back. This wasn't about survival. It wasn't even about my testimony. It was about obedience. Jesus was calling me to speak, to warn, to teach, to prepare his people. I couldn't ignore it. Not after what I'd seen twice. And then something happened that confirmed everything. 8 months after my first experience and just weeks after the second, my brother Josh got clean. Completely clean. No drugs. No cravings. No relapses. No withdrawals. He was free. The breakthrough came during my third extended fast. I remember kneeling on the floor, feeling weak, shaky, hungry, but determined. I prayed Jesus' name over my brother again and again. And I felt something break. Something heavy, ancient, stubborn. Something spiritual. From that moment on, his chains were gone. Was that a coincidence? Absolutely not. I know now that fasting doesn't just change us. It shifts things in the unseen realm. It opens gates. It breaks chains. It shakes foundations we never even knew were there. The question isn't whether Jesus is calling us to fast. He absolutely is. The real question is, will we respond? Because here's what I learned through all of this. The spiritual world is far more real than anything we see with our physical eyes. And fasting, biblical fasting, is one of the most powerful tools God has ever given his people. Not as a way to twist his arm. Not as a way to earn favor. Not as a way to bargain. But as a way to partner with heaven. To align our spirit with his spirit. To silence the noise. To sharpen discernment. To break the chains that cling to families for generations. to prepare us for battles we don't even know are coming, to step into spiritual authority instead of living spiritually asleep. Jesus showed me that fasting upgrades our spiritual senses. It strengthens us. It tunes our hearts to heaven's frequency. It gives weight to our prayers. It awakens authority inside us that we didn't know we had. It opens doors to inheritance, old wells of blessing, the kind our ancestors prayed for but never saw. And Jesus made one thing painfully clear. The days ahead will require believers who understand this. Not casually, not occasionally, but deeply. Because whether people want to admit it or not, we are stepping into times that will shake the world. And Jesus is preparing his people, not with fear, not with panic, but with power. Real power. The kind of power that only comes through intimacy with him, and that intimacy grows deeper through fasting. My 2 encounters taught me something I will preach until my final breath. Fasting is not about starvation. It's about transformation. It's not about convincing God. It's about clearing space so he can finally reach into areas we've kept locked away. It's not about earning anything. It's about receiving what heaven has been trying to give all along. And it's not about spiritual pride. It's about spiritual readiness. When Jesus calls his people to fast, it's because he wants to entrust them with something bigger than they can carry on their own. So if you're listening to this right now, I need you to understand something deeply. This is not an accident. You didn't stumble on this message. You didn't hear this by chance. Jesus is calling you, inviting you, into a deeper partnership with him, into a deeper level of spiritual sensitivity, into a deeper place of authority, into a deeper walk that will echo long after you're gone. He is calling you to fast. Not because he wants to take something from you, but because he wants to give you something. He wants to prepare you, strengthen you, equip you, and awaken you. The spiritual realm is active. It's alive. And through biblical fasting, we can walk with heaven in ways that will impact our families, our communities, and future generations. The time is now. Jesus is calling, and he is waiting for his church to respond. Just like he waited for me. Just like he waited for Josh. And now he's waiting for you.